Hi, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. This is the astrology of the week ahead. We're starting with Sunday, the 14th, which is today, and ending with Saturday, the 20th. So this is a very interesting week. Yesterday, we had a very powerful new moon in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It is an energy of wrapping things up. It's connected to the dissolution of boundaries. It's connected to forgiveness and compassion. It can also be associated with illusion and delusion, escapism. You know, there are many ways that we can express the archetypes. The choice really is ours. Pisces, being the last sign of the zodiac, a new moon in Pisces has the energy kind of the beginning of the end in a way. It is a new beginning, and we can impress in Pisces our imagination. Our imaginations in Pisces are very powerful, for good and for ill. And so it's important that as we sort of focus on those things that we'd like to bring into our life, is to do just that. But leave space for spirit. Leave space for spirit to maybe give you something even better than you ever imagined. When the sun moves into Aries, it's really the start of the zodiacal year. And that's when things really start to get moving. And so this week, actually, if we include Saturday in the beginning of the week started with the new moon in Pisces, and the week will end with the sun moving into Aries. And the sun is exalted in Aries. And so it's powerful. It's always powerful when something enters Aries. Mars, the sun, the transpersonal planets, right? But so we're in this sort of with the sun in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces, Pallas Athena in Pisces. We're in this sort of Neptune in Pisces, Venus in Pisces. We're in this sort of highly imaginative, sensitive, moldable, malleable place. And then the sun moves into Aries. And then after that, we have an Aries new moon. And those things that we have, so Pisces at the end of the zodiac is about meaning. What was the meaning of the last year of your life? And the last year of our lives was quite probably like no other year previous, for many, many reasons, not just COVID-19, but certainly because of COVID, and certainly because of the election here in the United States. And certainly we had an insurrection. You know, a lot of things happened, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions. And we have to kind of tease those things out. What does it mean? What has been wrought by the trial that we've been through? And so this week is a time of sort of working with that malleable Pisces energy before it begins to transform and come up into our conscious awareness in Aries. So just in general, a general point of order, I guess, or a general point of the best way to sort of work with the energy of this week is to consistently bring a sense of understanding, compassion, love, forgiveness into this week. A sense of wrapping things up a sense of letting go, a sense of allowing the healing to occur. And then at the end of the week, when the sun moves into Aries, we start to come back to life. So right now we're sort of just starting to feel the intimations that there is life beyond this last year that we have lived. And so this is a great week to actually take it easy. It's a great week to meditate. It's a great week to do something for somebody else, to open your heart with generosity, and to let go. Because if you let go, there's room to receive, right? If you're all balled up in whatever it is, your anger or holding on to something too tightly, there's no room for spirit to bring anything new in. And we certainly want to have that experience, I think. So today, Sunday, the moon is in Aries. It moved into Aries actually yesterday, after the new moon. And it's in Aries until Tuesday when it moves into Taurus. So Sunday, Monday, for the most part, the moon moves into Taurus on Tuesday at 6:56 a.m. So it's early in the morning here on the East Coast. That Aries moon sort of brings a instinctual, our instinctual nature. We want to get moving. We want to do things. It's a very active moon. It's an initiatory moon. So we're going to find ourselves starting projects, different things, as we move forward into Tuesday. We might also find ourselves being a little more angry than we normally are. Utilize that energy instead of obsessing on the anger or letting it take you over. Utilize the energy of that to get a task done. Yesterday, we also had Mercury come out of its shadow. Mercury is finally out of its shadow. And so we start to sort of feel a little freer with our ability to communicate and to actually have people understand what we're saying. And what happens on Monday, the 15th, is Mercury then moves into Pisces. And so there's like a lot of mental clarity for like 2 days. And then Mercury moves into Pisces. And Mercury in Pisces means that our mind is in this sort of amorphous suit of Pisces. And so we can utilize our mind and focus our mind to create things in the ethers so that when it's time for them to be given birth and manifest into physical reality, we have a good head start with that. The moon today makes two supportive connections, one to Mars, one to Saturn. They are sextiles. They are, in the case of, actually, it's not a sextile to Saturn, is it? The moon in Aries. Yes, it is. Okay, so the moon in Aries, sextile Saturn. This is a opening the lines of communication. So this is a good time to communicate, especially if you want to structure something. And then we also have a sextile of Mars to the moon to Mars. And this is a waning sextile. And so we can take an action to move in a more progressive direction. So if there is something that you've wanted to do, but you've been a little hesitant to do because it's a little out of the box, today is that day that you can actually feel the energy moving in such a way that you can do that. Monday, of course, Mercury moves into Pisces. The moon in Aries makes a sextile to Jupiter and a square to Pluto. The square to Pluto is a first quarter crisis in action square. We feel the need to take an action, especially we may feel like we're being held back by the powers that be, in a way that we feel we need to sort of break free from that. So there can be that energy. The sextile to Jupiter opens the lines of communication around issues of fairness and justice, issues of raising all boats. On Tuesday, the moon moves into Taurus. So a lot of the things that were getting started in the first few days that the moon was in Aries, now the moon moves into stabilizing Taurus, although at the end of the day, of course, it does make a conjunction to Uranus, which happens every month when the moon moves into Taurus. That conjunction to Uranus gives us an opportunity to bring in something new in a generally very staid kind of energy of Taurus. Tuesday, we also have a powerful sextile between the Sun and Pluto. This is a Gemini side sextile. It's a waxing sextile. It's opening the lines of communication. Of course, the Sun is in Pisces, which is very much of an empathetic, a sympathetic energy. And of course, Pluto is in Capricorn, which is generally not. But this could be talking about funding or financing things that can help people. This could also be. This could also have. We might hear something about vaccines, and then although we have the Johnson & Johnson vaccine now, like more of that kind of information, more information on that to help us out. Wednesday, the 17th, St. Patrick's Day, the moon makes a square to Saturn. The moon in Taurus makes a square to Saturn in Aquarius. I was going to say Saturn and Saturn, but Saturn in Aquarius. This is a crisis in action. And we also have Mars making a sextile to Chiron. Mars is in Gemini, Chiron is in Aries. This is actually an opening the lines of communication sextile. This is a Gemini side sextile. It's waxing between Mars and Chiron. There was actually a conjunction of Mars and Chiron back in July 14th of 2020. There was a conjunction of Saturn and of Mars and Chiron at 10 degrees of 10 degrees of Aries. Let's take a look at the Sabian symbol for 10 degrees of Aries. Mars conjunct Chiron in Aries. Mars is the ruler of Aries. And Chiron is the wounded masculine. Wounds around identity. Wounds around your right to just be, to live. It's the wounded warrior. It's not only too much aggression, but not enough, right? Not enough, not being able to stand up for yourself. These are all chironic wounds in Aries. And so Chiron is in Aries for about 9 years, 8 or 9 years. And every time Mars moves into Aries, it will make a conjunction to Chiron, right? And that will happen every 2 years and start a synodic cycle between Mars and Chiron. And Mars is action, taking action on. And so it could be taking action on the wound in a wounded way, or it could be taking action on the wound in a way to heal the wound, right? Again, the choices are always ours. So let's look at the Sabian symbol for 10 degrees of Aries. So what we have here is the original conjunction between Chiron and Mars. And I'm making a point of this because this is actually the first aspect of the major Ptolemaic, is that how you say it? Aspects that's occurred between Mars and Chiron since the conjunction. And the reason for that is because of the Mars retrograde activity that we had. It made a conjunction to Chiron. Then it moved all the way to, I think, 29 degrees, 28 or 29 degrees of Aries. Then it went retrograde, went all the way back to 16 of Aries, and then went direct, and then went into Taurus on the 6th of January. And then just recently has gone into Gemini. And so while it's only a 60-degree aspect, it's taken July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. It's taken 8 months, it's taken 8 months to get there. So that's a long time for that first aspect to happen, right? But that happens with the retrograde Mars cycles. There's always going to be a place in the Mars cycle with any of the other planets where there's going to be a retrograde motion of Mars. And so one part of the synodic cycle, one phase is going to be highlighted. And this phase that's been highlighted through the process of Mars making the conjunction, moving forward, then moving back, and then moving forward is the new phase and the crescent phase. And the new phase is this sort of new expression of Mars and Chiron in Aries. And then also the struggle with it. And now we come to the sextile, and we are communicating what it is that we're struggling. What's the struggle of this? And you know, of course, we could look at it as the struggle of the toxic masculinity or the wounded masculine, or all the things that we talked about. But here we have this conjunction. And what's interesting about the initial conjunction is that it was opposite Juno in Libra. Now, Juno is an asteroid. It's she was the wife of Jupiter. And so she wasn't equal to Jupiter, although in many of the myths, you don't really get that feeling. But there's always a tension with Juno and Jupiter, right? There's always a tension with Hera and Zeus in all of the stories. You know, Juno, Hera was a goddess in her own right. Then she had a share. She became sort of the partner of Jupiter, who pretty much did what the heck he wanted to do. And, you know, she would often, you know, go in flights of jealousy or, you know, fits of rage and all that stuff. Well, you know, she wasn't being respected. And if there's one thing that a goddess wants, is to be respected. And so we have this opposition between Juno and Libra. And so the Chiron conjunction to Mars in opposition to Juno and Libra brings an awareness around how women and men treat each other in relationship. There's an awareness around that. And then the conjunction of Mars and Chiron is asking us to sort of move and work on healing that, right? Healing the wound, taking action to heal the wound. So it's pretty significant in that respect. And so let's take a look at, I'm gonna, you can just look at this and I will read the Sabian symbol to you. You certainly don't have to see that, but I will read it to you. So this is the Sabian symbol for 10 degrees of Aries. It says, a teacher gives new symbolic forms to traditional images, revision of attitude at the beginning of a new cycle of experience. So what revisions of attitude do we need to have concerning how we relate? And this is not just men and women, but this is our own inner feminine and our own masculine, right? Do we respect our intuitions? Do we respect our feelings? Do we respect our body? You know, air and fire are masculine elements, but water and earth are feminine. And how are you treating your body? How are you treating your emotions? These are the questions that we need to ask ourselves as we move forward with this. So it says, in this image, we find expressed the capacity to restate the problem inherent in the first phase, the problem of focusing one's energy upon emotional drives and cultural values, which exclude far more than they include. The subsequent stages of development taken together, have added considerably to this attitude. As a result, there arises in the consciousness a desire to reformulate a new level, much that had been taken for granted because it is indeed because it originally had been an evolutionary necessity. The very concrete, emotional, arousing image of the past can now be reinterpreted as a symbol with a wider scope of meaning. A new dimension of consciousness is discovered, revealing higher possibilities of experiences and mental development. This is a phase of abstraction and of emotional allegiance. And so this is an opportunity for us to open the lines of communication on how best to deal with the issues of the masculine and the feminine, the wounding, and everything that goes with it. So this is a big discussion. We're going to have a big discussion about this week. And of course, we have the whole Andrew Cuomo thing coming up. And so it's in our, it's certainly in his life, but it's also in our face. And, this happens for all of us. It's just that famous people, because they're famous, get focused upon. And so we have to use that as sort of a learning tool for us to understand the dynamic, change the dynamic, heal the dynamic, and forgive, right? And forgive. Okay. So that's Wednesday. Thursday, the moon moves into Gemini. It does, and that occurs actually at night, 7:47 p.m. Before it does that, however, it does make a square to Jupiter, a sextile to Neptune, and a sextile to Venus. Neptune and Venus, I believe, are both still in Pisces at this time. The sextile, again, is, oh, wait a minute. No. It's when it's in, when it's still in Taurus, right? This is, again, opening the lines of communication around this. The moon makes a trine when in Taurus to Pluto. This is a lot of creative energy. This is a lot of power. We also have on this day, Venus making a sextile to Pluto. Now, this is also a opening the lines of communication sextile. Pluto and Venus have a very interesting relationship. Pluto is our unconscious desire nature. Venus is what we love and what we value. And Venus and Pluto are very sort of deep, emotional, loving, sometimes controlling, it's this feeling of wanting to be possessed. And so this is a time to open the lines of communication around that, do some information gathering if you have to help us understand the dynamics of power when it comes to the feminine, because the initial conjunction, of course, was Venus conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. And Capricorn really is sort of the structures of power. And where is Venus gonna fit in those structures? Where is the feminine to fit in those? And she is fitting more and more. Women and taking more and more positions of authority. We can see it in the political system. And I know that I was talking to Marianne a little while ago, and she was bringing up what was going on in her country of origin in Australia. And there's issues around women being sexually harassed and raped, I think she said, within the government by other people in the government. So this it's not just here, and it's not just here in Andrew Cuomo's life, but this is worldwide. And of course, there are other countries where women have a much harder, much more terrible time, but it is rising, and women are starting to say, enough is enough, guys. Take notice, and you got to believe us, and it's happening. So Our voices are being heard for sure. Okay, let's see. I think there's also, yes, on Thursday, the moon in Taurus makes a sextile. No, the moon in Gemini will make a no, the moon in Taurus makes a sextile to the sun in Pisces. And that is also an opening of lines of communication. And that's around the new moon that just occurred. On Friday the 19th, the moon is in Gemini again. It makes a square to Mercury in Pisces. There can be some confusion there. Mars in Gemini makes a conjunction to the moon. So there can be some confusion. There can be some angry words, etc. Saturn also makes a trine to the moon in Gemini. That should bring some structure to it and perhaps help with figuring out what the issue is. So the last thing we're going to look at is the 20th, and that is the equinox. So let's take a look at that. We'll look at the chart because that's important. So here we have the sun moving into Aries, and we can see that shortly Venus will be moving out of Pisces, where she's in her exaltation, and move into Aries as well. This is the Aries. This is the equinox. This is when night and day are equal. We have to always look to see where Mars is at. Mars is at 10 degrees of Gemini, with the moon, with the sun in Aries. So let's take a look at 10 degrees of Gemini. I believe this was the symbol of the nosedive. So let's take a look at that. So I was right. The 10 degrees of Gemini, an airplane performs a nosedive, the superior ability to challenge nature with and play with danger. Says, though the controlled use of the mental power through the controlled use of the mental powers, man is able to challenge in the most basic force of nature, gravitation. He enjoys playing with it as a lion tamer plays with the lion. But what he challenges is within himself as well as outside. Gravitation is the universal binding force of the material world. By challenging it, man prepares himself to pierce beyond the physical and to reach a higher realm of existence. He may lose the struggle, but the prospect makes the effort more exciting. He might gain immortality. He could also kill himself. So there needs to be a understanding that I think because it's in Gemini also, there's a connection to words here. So I think we need to be very, very careful with the words that we use. It does become, we vibrate out the words, and so it becomes our reality. So you can play with it and you can dare it, and you can maybe in the nick of time get out of, harm's way, but maybe not. So I'd be a little bit more cautious than not in this way. And of course, Mars is getting closer and closer to the north node of the moon. Actually, yes, Mars is getting closer and closer to the north node of the moon. So when Mars does make the conjunction to the north node of the moon, which I believe happens next week, we're going to have to take action to move forward on something. And we will have to see what that's going to be next week. All right, let's see. That is all I'm going to say about that. So let me stop the share here, and let's pull some cards on this week. I think what I will do is something I rarely do. I'm going to use my my Rider-Waite deck. I don't use it I use it a lot when I'm doing readings, because you can connect the numerology and the Kabbalah with tarot. So that's always fun. Give people a little something to work with when we look at their numbers. All right, what do we need to be aware of this coming week? This is the week of Sunday, March 14th to Saturday, March 20th. What is it that we need to be aware of? What is the energy? I want to make sure I have all my phones. Okay. All righty, righty. Okay. Justice. We have either a judge, police officer. We may hear about the insurrection, stuff about the insurrection. But the question is justice. The question is, but not just justice, taking action on justice. Let's see what challenges that. New beginnings. There's as you know, many of us want to see justice done, but we also don't want to get caught up, I think, in the, is he going to pay? Is he not going to pay? Is he going to pay? Is he not going to pay? We did that for 4 years, quite frankly, with Trump. And every time we got squashed and kiboshed, and he will pay the piper. The piper will be paid. So that is for sure. But we cannot get emotionally invested in it, and we cannot let it prevent us from expressing our creative abilities. At the root is the Page of Pentacles. This, I think, is some help coming, but small, just the beginning. This is just the beginning of the recovery. This is the beginning of getting the finances moving, either in your life or in the life of the country or the life of the world. The past, we have a change in fortune. So that is true. We did have that. Those who were in power have fallen, and somebody else has risen up. And we're seeing that also in many different levels, in many different places, whether you're Republican or Democrat, or not even either one of those, maybe in your own country. What's in the sky? Happiness and contentment. Well, this is nice. This is nice. So generally a positive week experiencing. And then the immediate future is the Eight of Pentacles. This is asking us to continue to put our head down, do the work that's necessary, perfect the work, just keep on doing what you keep on keeping on. This is how it's seen from the outside. I think this is having dominion over your life, or having somebody in charge that knows what they're doing, perhaps. Domestic situation, we're going to be traveling a little bit more than we have before. So there's a little more traveling. Perhaps there's a little planning as to where you're going to go that's happening. Things are moving. The energy is moving. The energy is getting back on the road. Hopes and fears. I think people are afraid of certain people doing crappy things, dangerous things, rabble rousing, such. You can't blame them, right? And we have the devil at the end. So there's a a kind of selling your soul to the devil. What's the cost? The devil is a heavy card, but it can be a very light card because it's also associated with mirth. And so the question is, what are you chained to? What is it that you are chained to? What is it that you are chained to that prevents you from finding that levity, finding an ability to like look beyond the physical world, to the higher spiritual realms. These people have chains around their neck, but they can remove them if they choose. All right, let's see what's underneath it all. Greed. I think we might find out some information about who's backing the devil, if you know who I'm talking about. So I think that we might hear about issues around a certain person's what's the word I'm looking for? Business dealings. And that's all I'm going to say. But for us, enjoy your week. Do the work that you need to. Don't let what's going on in the media, in the news, and whether somebody's going to pay or not, get in the way of your creative spark. Live your life to the best of your ability, and let the people who do the work of justice. All right, guys, much love. Have a great week, and I'll see you again next week. Take care.